That's pretty interesting. It's supposed to start at 3 o'clock. Got done at started at 20 after 8. Oops.
Oh my. Good afternoon. This is Free Range, and I have Drake Bailey, and this much long awaited session with him is about to begin. And we have many questions from the listeners. And
Well, if you got any kind of a question within reason, I'll answer it. There are some subjects or details that I have been requested specifically not to discuss. In other words, an ongoing thing might be, transpiring, and if people get wind of it, they go, ooh, and they start adding and subtracting and causing problems. And so that's one of the reasons. The other is that people trust me not to say something about certain things, and I've kept that trust so far.
And I would honor that as well, and I'm glad you said that, because there are sometimes too there are medical related questions that I don't know if you want to answer those either, but sometimes that can cause problems for people. But anyway, one of the first ones that I have listed, and there's quite a variety, and if you choose not to answer, just let me know. Okay. First of all, this one says, when will we hear your show again with Drake? Been waiting for updates. Like to hear what is happening in this country. There's lots going on, and also they want galactic updates. So it's kind of a mixture of geopolitical updates and galactic updates, whatever you know.
Okay.
So.
Did you want me to give updates, or you want me to just?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do a little quick update thing, and then we'll start with the questions.
Okay, well, on the geopolitical range of things, the stage is done being set, and I would expect some actions this week, from what I hear. That is not limited to, but includes the removal of illegal aliens, as well as some of what they said were going to be piecemeal arrests of certain individuals that apparently have desperately needed to be arrested for quite some time. I'm not going to say who. I have actually I was given 3 lists, one of which I said was horse hockey, and they laughed about it, and then the other 2 are pretty valid. I've heard a lot of rumors that I have not gotten validation back yet. So we'll see what the general consensus of direction will be. That should become known between this week and the next, hopefully. As far as galactic updates, oh my goodness, are they busy? They're prepping to assist us with the transition from 3 to 4D. And well, everybody does the happy dance. The only problem is that I don't know if anybody remembers history class in school. How you like to sleep in it? Well, this is going to be a lot of that sort of dull and boring horse manure in terms of what our responsibilities are, what we need to learn, and the classes associated. That'd be the first announcement. Second thing around is that there will be a transition channel open, and this will be available to everybody that's got TV. That will be instructional primarily. And as I said, it's about as dull and boring as history was. But what it also does is it gives people insight as to how to turn on the latent powers that have been talked about for so many years. And what this will comprise depends on the individual. Some people, and this is one of the biggest problems, some people get into advanced things without knowing the preliminaries well enough to properly operate those advanced things. And unless you know how to differentiate a timeline, getting on one is easy. Finding out whether or not it's something you should be paying attention to is quite something else. This is where the information on the educational part comes in as far as Galactic goes. You have you have galactic and universal. Those are two operations they work hand in hand, and yet you have a distinct difference in galaxies. Each galaxy then within itself has oh Lord, 2 million different races of individuals that may or may not look anything like human or be in the format that we are familiar with in terms of life form. I met one group that, let's see here. In terms of size, they're about 3 times as wide as an aircraft carrier, and about 4 times as long. And they primarily look like a big amoeba. You've seen the little things with the little hairs that run around in your water.
Yeah.
Imagine one on steroids that done got big. Too many vitamins when it was little, or however that works.
Wow.
That's one. There's another specific set of races that are energy. Some live on Saturn. Some live on some live in the sun, and depending on your ability to perceive them correctly depends on whether or not you can communicate. Now, a lot of people, I think it would be interesting for them to have a conversation with a being that doesn't have anything to do with Earth or humanity in general. Most of these have not. However, in the archives, all of them have had some interlude of some sort with both the human race and Mother Earth sometime in the distant past. What a lot of people don't understand or don't get are the accuracy of Gematrian numbers in terms of how they work on a mechanical basis. Uh-oh, ring-a-ding-ding.
Nothing. Sorry.
Okay, well, I don't, we ring-a-ding-ding whenever you feel like it, I guess.
My computer has a mind of its own. But are these beings friendly?
I haven't met one yet that isn't. It depends on what you define as friendly. And, in some cases, if you were to touch one, unless you are really, a heavy hitter, it's a death sentence. Physical contact between races is a no-no for the simple fact of spreading diseases that neither of the beings have any defense for, that sort of thing. Those are part of the considerations. It's also, it's a protocol dealing primarily with courtesy. You don't reach out and grab somebody the first time you meet them. Hi, how you doing? That don't work too well. Well, can be considered that sort of thing in simple galactic realms, let alone universal. In terms of the galaxy, ours specifically, we have somewhere around 25 million different races exist that have been existing. Some go back to the beginning of the galaxy. Some have a lot shorter histories, and yet the ideology that we perceive, head, arms, legs, and all that may or may not apply. The energy beings kind of look like a let's see here, a big glob of mist that's full of static electricity, as an example. And you have to be able to understand how to communicate with something where you have no commonality. And that is one of the communications is one of the big things that's covered in these classes to get us prepared. We're going to be dealing with a load of different races. The interesting part is that Earth is supposed to become an intergalactic trading point for the what they call the mid-arm galaxy orientation. You look at the galaxy and it looks like this, and each one of these things is bent a little bit because it's turning. Okay, and the mid arm would be somewhere around halfway, which is where we are in terms of physical aspect. So it is totally convoluted in terms of human beings are considered I don't know, some sort of anomaly in space.
Mm-hmm.
ETs are not used to seeing humans out there. And so consequently, when we start having a lot of intergalactic trade and that sort of thing, you're going to start seeing things that you didn't think, a lot of people will quit drinking, among other things. I guarantee you.
Well, something like some of those beings we saw on Men in Black.
Yeah, well, that was nice, and that was moderate. And you have to remember that a lot of those beings that you saw in Men in Black also were using disguises. That's that's where you project an image of what you want somebody to see, and or adopt the image as a physical protocol for yourself. That there's variations and a bunch of them. And those are only just two of I'd say 20 or 30 that I'm aware of.
Wow.
You get into the linguistics, and you find that there is a universal language, and that is pretty neat. They did it on Stargate once, where one guy insisted on seeing the alphabet, and the ET said, one ET looked at the other one and said, "Should we?" And the other one said, "Sure, why not? They won't understand it anyway." And all of a sudden, you got all of these elemental configurations like you'd see on a periodic table, only take the periodic table and double it, and that gives you, you're going to end up with about 300 different characters, let's say. Most of the languages, and I'll tell this up front, are very oriented to Russian and Slavonics. Those languages came from outer space.
Oh, that's interesting.
So redeveloped here. So if you can master certain portions of Russian or certain Slavonic languages, getting to where you can actually speak in the language of the ETs to a specific race in their language and know what you're saying and whatnot, that's it gets interesting, believe me. And all of this sort of thing, and that is just communication. And this is funny. Several languages here on this planet don't have a word for a toilet. There isn't any word. You ask them where the John's at in the zoo. Which John? You're talking about John such and such, or John, they think you're talking about a person. And, yeah.
English is wonderful with that kind of thing.
Well, the best answer I saw was an American couple. They were in Japan, and the guy had to go, and they both needed to use the facilities. Where do I find this? Find what? Toilet. What is that? He gets a picture on his phone and shows it to him, and it shows a toilet. Oh yes, right over here, down there. So the ideology of communication can also be done very effectively with nothing more than images. This is where you get your hieroglyphs and whatnot. Egypt is supposed to be the hieroglyph. Well, no, there's 20 or 30 hieroglyphic systems that I'm aware of right here on this planet. So, it equals going on.
That's interesting. It should be very interesting, actually. Okay, here's a question for you.
Okay.
In the past, it was highly recommended to get out of all banks. Then lately I heard Chase is one bank selected by the Chinese to continue when change occurs. But also heard now Chase is not going to fly since U.S. Customs seized one of their ships with $1 million worth of drugs. Though I have a credit union account, not everybody does. Do you have any suggestions in that regard?
Yeah, you can have an account. Now, I recommend that you go with a state chartered bank. It's harder for the feds or whomever you might want to be dealing with to get in there and get your money. Okay. Number two, and this is the general rule of thumb, do not leave excess money in your bank account. Take it out, put it in an envelope, and hide it somewhere in the house. The reason I stipulate that is that you will have ready cash on hand, and if you do it slowly over a period of time in terms of accumulation, you're going to be surprised all of a sudden you've got thousands of dollars in ready cash if you need to spend it. Keep that as your reserve, your backup, your ace in the hole, or however you want to look at that. Don't spend it. And continue to accumulate until such time as it's announced, and it's supposed to be announced, that we are going to a gold-backed standard, for one.
Okay. Okay, now we have switch gears a little bit here. Will people like George Bush and John McCain be allowed to keep their good name, in quotes, forever? They deserve to be fully exposed.
I'm not aware of anything good about either one of their names.
Me either.
Well, John McCain turned treasonous when he was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. And that sort of soured me on that man, period. Now, supposedly we're supposed to honor the man's good name. Well, in my book, he never did have a good name because of that. Okay. George Bush was intrinsically and personally involved in 9/11 up to his eyeballs. He don't have a good name with me. Now, that's my opinion, but you can look it up and verify all of that. Okay?
Yes, I might add that he was seen at Kennedy's assassination too, but that's a whole nother story. Okay, next question. Why would Paul Ryan be allowed in government again after the way his final term went down? To say
yeah,
was underwhelming would be an understatement.
There's a bunch of people that need to go. Lindsey Graham needs to be charged with treason for attempting to annihilate the Second Amendment without an agreement among the states, among other things. There's a thing called a red flag bill, and remember those FISA courts that everybody tried to use against Trump? Well, this thing contains a provision for a similar, fully secret, you can't represent yourself kind of adjudication. And if they think that they have the right, which they don't, but they believe they do, they will order a SWAT team to suddenly appear at your door demanding all your guns. Now, somebody that don't like you, he waved a gun in my face. Oh, really? You got the video? Witnesses? I mean, show me some proof. You don't have that option. It's all secret. Just like the FISA courts. I didn't tell anybody what was going on, but they wiretapped a whole bunch of people. Okay, same difference. Only in this case, it also puts you on the no list. You can never buy or own a gun again, supposedly. Now, I don't know if it was Lindsey Graham or who the idiot was that thought all this stuff up, but no laws, and this is common knowledge among everybody that's got any kind of sense. No laws are abided by criminals anyway. So, background checks, taking guns, and all this other habit. Why aren't you concentrating on the gangs that are shooting up the neighborhood? Why is it that you think it's funny to play games with a law-abiding citizen who simply goes on the legal basis of the right to self-defense. Somebody pulls a gun, I want to be able to shoot back. So I carry a gun. And I have yet to pull it on anybody. I have not had to do that. So but the idea that it's going to cause people that don't do that stuff anyway to have any effect on gun violence is ludicrous, stupid, ridiculous. I mean, and anybody with any kind of common sense knows that crooks don't pay attention to the law anyway. So which one of them are you going to have a background check on? You ain't. They're not going to volunteer. Hey, I'm buying some machine guns down at the mall. Well, no, doesn't work that way.
Well, what that reminds me of it too, just for sake of this topic, is there's a lot of so-called felonies out there, and they have this thing that if you have any kind of felony, then you can't own a gun ever. And that's a way of disarming people too, because a lot of those felonies didn't have anything to do with a gun in the first place.
Exactly. They've taken traffic citations and turned them into felonies. And there's an article in Washington Review, I believe it is, that I just finished redlining for my show. That talks about the perversion of justice, let alone the part about adjudication. You come in there and tell them that their court does not have the legal foundation to even exist, let alone try to play games of, you're going to pay a $300 fine or whatever it may be. And the problem with that is that you can require the court to, and this screws them all up, produce the injured party so that I can make arrangements for reparations, please. They can't do that. The injured party in terms of like a speeding ticket fine, that's the state. It won't fit on the bench. Real simple. It's not complicated. But they're trying to make it complicated. It's like they will try to tell you, you have to have driver's license plates, registration, etc. Okay? No, you don't. Only if you are a commercial operator. In other words, you're on the road to make money, period. It does not apply otherwise. Now, they tried to cherry pick from the Articles of Confederation and say, oh, it does. Oh, yeah, you're an operator. You're your driver. I said, no, I'm not. I'm a traveler.
They did that to me.
Well, if they write it down as traveler, then all of that comes into play. If they decide to do something else. Now, this is the law enforcement officer that's making out the ticket, okay? You got a driver's license? Yeah, but you don't need it. Well, of course I do. No, you don't. I'm not a commercial driver. I'm a traveler. Mm-hmm. When you have the right to drive, you have the right to travel on the King's Highway without interference, be that licensing or whatever, period. Toll roads are illegal. Yeah, under those same things. You can arbitrate that. When a policeman issues you a traffic citation, you can, if you carry this through correctly, it takes about 3.5 years in federal court to resolve the issue. Wow. And the officer will be lucky to maintain a position as an officer, let alone the right to carry a gun and have a badge. Misapplication of the law has penalties. And that's true of judges and everybody. So, and I know of several people that have proved that point to some people. There have been whole police forces that have been negated on this basis.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
because they assign horribly high fines and fees, and oh my God, they
think they're getting your attention by doing that. Okay, don't do that again, or we double it, and that sort of happy stuff. Well, first of all, you don't agree to the fine, and secondly, you don't agree to court costs. They brought you in. You did not voluntarily come in and use up their time. It gets deep. If you want, I'll send you some of the information, and you
Yeah, I could
can.
probably use some of that myself. So anyway, okay,
But
let's move on then.
you
Um,
got you really got a fight on your hands if you go about this. Okay.
okay. Um, okay, we're going to switch back to galactic. How is it with all the fancy intergalactic technology that ETs have that they can't seem to coordinate the messages being put out by you or Kent or Dr. Sam? Either we've sold our souls through baptism or we haven't. Either David Wilcock is a clone and his wife is a handler, or he isn't. Either the Earth will experience drastically rising sea levels in 50 years or it won't. Is there really any way, no way to get all the real truth bringers on the same page?
Probably not. It depends on what you're listening to and how real or truthful it is. And the problem with that is that somebody can act like they can walk on water and they're the Messiah and whatnot, and thou shalt believe what I say, kind of crap. And there's, I don't know, thousands of them out there. The thing that's about to come up will be a rectification or a reckoning of the falsities compared to the realities. ET's going, like I said, ET's going to have an educational channel. They're also going to have a channel that dispels the problems. Okay.
Good. We need that. Some
Yep.
truth for a change. Okay, are we going to be alive all the way through the transitions from 3, 4, or 5D, or will we go through various reincarnations? I certainly hope not.
No. Um, if you're alive at the time of the transition, you stay alive. Just that simple. Doesn't matter what density you go to.
How long does this process take on the average to complete?
Well, I'm going to do something here. See that? That's how quick it happens.
I like that. That's good. That's what we need. Okay, here. I didn't organize these correctly. But anyway, I read somewhere that Camelia Harris is the Democratic designee for candidate. Is that true? How can that be allowed if she's ineligible by way of her parents not being U.S. citizens at the time of her birth?
Well, that depends on when they're going to enforce the same standard on Obama and a whole bunch of other people. One of the main things that I found in my usual reading and research was that if a law is not enforced, it doesn't exist, or might as well be that it doesn't exist. The citizenship question on the census is required if they go look up the precedent. It was set by court to be applied at the discretion of the administration in charge. So consequently, what you have is you have a whole bunch of horse hockey. The Supreme Court, along with the federal courts, in my opinion, need to have some straight up obtuse instruction. Wow, you hear me now? Let me hit you on the head a little harder. You know, that's sort of message across. It's like a situation that's described in one of my gun books about women being defenseless. Each and every last one of them shot the guy. Home invaders or whatever, okay? Attempted rapists and that sort of thing. Out of the 5 that were described, 3 didn't survive. They killed them. Good deal. You don't have to waste all that time running them through courts or feeding them in jail or any of that. Now, I strongly suggest that you go, if somebody has to defend themselves, go for a semi-disabling shot. And that can be anything. Where the guy goes, ooh, and falls over, shoot him in the head. Take care of the problem on a permanent basis, and you will not have that problem again. Everybody notices who it is, and don't want to mess with her, man. She kills people. Simple. It works. It's the enforcement of the right to self-defense and that other people do not have the right to enforce whatever they feel like they want to do on anybody else. Real simple.
All right. That is defying a universal law of treat everybody like you'd like to be treated yourself, or be kind with everyone.
You can forget it. You can't legislate morality. It has to be taught and lived. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, how about respect for all beings?
Good luck with that one. We don't have replicators yet, so we're still murdering livestock. I like my hamburgers, man.
Okay. When will we start to see the results of the various Godfather deals for the Democrats, the media, the banks, and big tech?
Read that one again. I think I missed one part of it.
Okay. When will we start to see the results of the various Godfather deals for the Democrats, the media, the banks, and big tech, who seem to be doing whatever they want, is basically what.
Most of that is already in process. Most of it is made good progress. Right now, you have the Democratic Party's blown up. It's got 5, 6 different groups, one going this way, one going that way, and another one jumping up and down in the middle. You've got idiots like Cortez, who thinks they know what they're talking about and doesn't have a clue. Cortez lost about 30% of her voters on that horse hockey this year. We got concentration camps. Well, no, we don't. And if you go down there and look and see how well everybody's being treated, drinking out of toilets. The toilet and the drinking fountain operate off the same water. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. If somebody would, and the press is guilty of this, they do use the same labels and all this other happy stuff and try to create a unique thing to subjugate or get rid of Trump. That's the idea. They haven't stopped. Well, they keep losing people all the time in terms of their numbers. If you look, they've lost 65 to 70% at CNN alone, just because of all the horse hockey that they put out.
Yeah. Well, it's like there's no concern for what about homeless Americans or homeless veterans or homeless people?
Yeah, let's screw a whole bunch of people that want to break into the country illegally. Let's take care of our people.
Exactly.
Try and get a Democrat to agree to that.
Okay, I've been watching some of the earlier YouTube videos of Trump, and some of his personal bodyguards don't look quite human. Could ETs?
They're human. They're a special breed of human. I would not screw with those guys, let's put it that way. His personal bodyguards make about, I'd say 90% of the people that might have those capabilities look like play toys.
Well, he needs them right now, the way they've gone after him. My goodness. Never seen anything like it in my entire life,
Nobody has.
Yeah. Thou dost protest too much. There has to be something to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Did all religions across the U.S. send our baptism information to the Vatican?
Probably, but it don't matter. It doesn't mean anything.
Thank you for that, because there's a couple of questions that relate to that as we go along.
Hold on. Here's the other part of this, okay?
Okay.
There is no such thing as a valid contract, and I use that word loosely, but contract, be it spiritual or otherwise, between an entity and or two individuals, unless both parties fully and absolutely understand each and every last facet, each and every last little detail of that contract. So, no, they can't steal your soul because the contract's not validated. Forgot to mention that. Okay, they forgot to mention they're going to eat your flesh down to the bones. In the middle of the night or some weird stuff. Okay, so. And that's true of a contract dealing with home improvement or anything that you're doing between you and your mechanic. I mean, without the understanding of what contract law stipulates, you're going to be subject to things like, oh, we're going to find, if you leave early, you don't fulfill your 2-year obligation, we're going to gig you for $400 or $500. No, sorry, that's illegal. Oh, what do you mean illegal? That's not illegal. Oh, yes, it is.
Good.
Well, each party has to have a certain amount of equity in terms of the contract and release therefrom. Okay. I'm not going to pay their rent on their boat in the Bahamas because they feel like they want to charge me. It doesn't work that way. And I have explained to one entity that unless they were prepared to spend a lot of time in federal court explaining themselves and showing cause, that they might want to think about just say, don't worry about it. And that was the end result. Don't worry about it. We ain't going to do, yeah, good. I didn't think you wanted to do that.
And it seems like some of these contracts are what I call unilateral. In other words, they put all the terms down and you're not allowed to change anything.
You're allowed to take a red pen and cross out whatever you disagree with, and they can rewrite the contract or forget about it and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the choice. Either both parties understand and fully agree on the contract, or it's null and void.
Yeah, because I've been told that before. Oh, well, you can't change anything, and I know you're supposed to be able to.
Well, the problem is nobody takes the time and trouble to explain to you what the contract obligations are supposed to be according to their end, not yours, their end of the contract. So when they refuse to explain all that legalistic gobbledygook in the fine print, or I don't even know what this means, well, then we can't have a contract. Yeah. Simple. Or they can put a big red X through it. Either way, that negates that section.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. If you don't mind, can you please ask Drake, what does he see when he looks to a person and see if this person is a reptilian, Draco, or Pleiadian? Is it an energy or what is it?
People that try to hide use a holographic projector. I see through that to the real whatever's behind it. And then you cannot say that all of this particular type or race of ET is nasty and out to eat your flesh to the bone. You don't know until you assess the individual. This is the underrated art of discernment. Discernment allows you to see another individual for what they are and where they're at and what their intents and purposes are with regards to you. Bingo.
Usually you can sense that sort of thing, if nothing else.
That's what discernment does. It makes a little hair stand up on your neck when there's some kind of funny thing about that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I would also like to know, in YouTube's there are videos about people in hibernation. Can you please ask Drake if the people in videos are Anunnaki?
Well, if they're 12 foot long, they probably would be Anunnaki. That's about their approximate adult length or height or whatever. There are varying types of what's known as stasis or hibernation. Some people some of the peoples that were schooled by the ancient builders are in hibernation to this day. We haven't found them yet. I know where they're at, but it's not for me to say. It is for people to go and search things through and find out. When these people are found, don't disturb them. They're in a stasis. They're in stasis for a reason. The machines, each and every last machine, all of them, or the ones that cause the condition, have a timer, and that timer is set to bring them back at a specific time for a specific reason. So don't screw with the machine. Take all the pictures you want. Oh, you get some freaked out selfies, I'll bet.
Okay. Can you ask Drake, why are we going to the fourth dimension if it is full of malevolent entities and our light essence is 5D?
Well, because you got to go in numerical order, first of all. Secondly, you have a series of schoolings at high level 4D, which is where we're going. So you don't have to fool with the podunk swamp dwelling, bottom feeding nasties that live in the lower end of 4D. We're going above that quite a bit. Now, you can't enter 5D until you've had the schooling in 4D, no matter what anybody says. The 5D consciousness allows you to see what 4D is and apply what you are supposed to learn so that you don't screw things up in 5D. Now, here's the other part. You got to remember something. These things all come in threes. Remember? 3, 6, 9. Okay. We're in 3D. We got to go to 4D. We have to travel through 5D. There's a reason for that, and that will become apparent as we travel through it. When we get to 6D, we can take a break. Well, there have been a few extraordinary races on planets that went through things like a dose of salts. They discovered what 3D was and requested emergency assistance to help get them out of it. Okay? We're not sure.
Small wonder.
We're not sure about this. Well, they progressed so fast. They assimilated to 5D so fast. They were only in 5D for a matter of, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, or less in some case. Okay, they all bunched up at the end of 5D and went to 6. And the reason I say that you get to take a break in 6 is because all of these masterminds or whatever stipulated, I want to go have a picnic, and they did. They just, not necessarily a party per se, but they took a break.
That's understandable. Okay, here's another one. Is there ever going to be a chance for RV to happen and humanitarian projects before we go or get to 4D?
Yes, that's already in the works. We're getting ready to do that shortly on one portion of it. And there is not an RV. There is a global currency reset. Okay, that links all currencies of all countries together. You're going to have what would be akin to a world currency eventually. They're going to do away with the Deutschmark and whatever, to the point where we first of all won't need cash. Ooh, you'll have a card that has your value written into it. Now, these things are totally impervious to any form of hacking. Only the individual in direct physical contact with the card can use it. It's pretty neat. I mean, and you have to understand that the global currency reset gives the revaluation of countries, individuals, etc., into a basket of a variety of different things. Maybe they got tons of palladium, bingo, or a lot of gold, or this, that, or the other thing, or huge numbers of cows. All of this figures in as a reality set designed to arrive at the true valuation of that particular country. The exchanges and exchange rates and all that, forget it, it's gone. Eventually.
Oh, okay. Okay, when we go to 4D, will these health issues continue?
No.
Okay. If these health issues do continue to 4D, we already said they don't, will the healing beds that we talk about be ready to use, or will we be using them in 3D?
No, you're gonna experience the biospheres that are already upstairs. These things are huge. It looks like a humongous teardrop from one. I don't know of any better way to describe it. You go in there, and what's interesting is that it is its own timeline. So you go in there, you might spend 6 months in there in terms of some kind of rehab, rebuild, whatever. When you come out, you find that it was only 2 days. What's
Uh-huh.
that? Hey, why not? I was told you can spend 6 weeks, and it runs a little less than 2.5 days of actual time in terms of humans understanding at Earth time. So you're not going to find the healing computers and the med beds and all that stuff as being predominant. You're going to find the biospheres as predominant, and everybody will be taken up there. You get interviewed by a physician that talks to you about what you want to come out with and this and that and the other thing. And, what happens if I do this? Well, that's all well and good. But if we make you bulletproof, you won't be able to feel nothing. A little, oh, I hadn't thought about that, so there, it gets, and this person knows this stuff inside and out. That's all they do. And you'll get very succinct, very exacting answers to questions. Primarily, what happens is that your physicology is reset to its optimum, and then it's made permanent.
Sounds good to me. Does that age come in there anywhere?
You're not old anymore. Why? Well, I got friends.
Okay. Oh, you're going to love this one. Why was the LGBTQ movement forced globally with Obama in 2008 to 2016? And will this current administration stop it? I ask because kids are being taught perverse things that any adult should reject, like Vladimir Putin and the Brazilian president have done.
First of all, they don't know whether they did them or not, but the ideology of intimacy was always taught to me to be a private matter. That means you don't take it out and run it up and down Main Street in whatever mind-bending pursuit of happiness. Oh, I'm happy when I wear a lot, anyway, so you have to first look at that. Secondly, there are whole societies that are queer, for want of a better word, same-sex involvements on varying levels, and yet you have family structures, and this is neat, family structures that fit into this. In other words, it is one of the main things that they make sure of is that the child or children are not influenced by their adult counterparts' interests. And you want to have fun trying to walk a knife-edged fence without falling on either side. Try that one.
Yeah, really. That's a tough one. But, we don't want people divided for reasons like that either.
Yeah.
Is Donald Trump being influenced by Zionists on foreign policy, according to sources from Benjamin Fulford?
Fulford's full of horse hockey.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, especially in terms of that one. I have done some checking, and most of the people that are mentioned as being handlers or controllers or influencers, they don't want to screw with Trump. He has already stipulated that if they do, he's going to come after them. Everything this country has at its disposal now, they don't want World War III in a Capitol building somewhere in one of the states. Believe me, they don't want that.
All right. This one is interesting. I wasn't that familiar with it. There was a question asked years ago when you were on the air about an entity that is thousands of years old living in the underground of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
He answered, I heard that too. Well, here we are 7 or 8 years later. What's the situation, or what does he know now?
Okay, well, it's very simple. There have been entities both above ground, upstairs, in space, on surface, and below ground that have been influential in terms of giving people a gentle nudge, and if that don't work, they give them a big push. Yeah, to get them to comply with things that may or may not fit what should be done. Most of these have been removed. We presently are involved in taking out the remainder of the DUMBS, DUMBS bases underground. That's why you had earthquakes in California. They blew up a whole bunch of them, and when they did, it got the San Andreas fault and a few other things. A little excited. It went, whoo.
And I imagine there's more to come.
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch. That's one of the primers that have been being used recently. There's a whole network that runs all over the planet that we're attending to.
Okay. Oh, let me see. Someone was going through. I'm going to pass some kind of one up for right now. Somebody was referring to a vision that was seen, and was wondering why the person that she had met, there was such a connection. And basically what the question, boils down to is, was this person known before in a previous life?
Well,
okay.
that part of it varies considerably. What you have is people don't understand how a vision really truly works, and they don't understand how to make sure that it's valid. And between all of that, it's like you get people, well, ET told me this. No, they didn't. Not good ETs, they didn't. And you begin to be able to recognize this stuff, kind of like reading between the lines. But as far as visions go, that can be anything. And a lot of the time, many of the people that have been valid are invalidated by falsies like that. So bear that in mind. You be up and coming, and they don't want you to get there, so they, put child porn on your computer or something nice.
Well, this was also going down to the fact that people seem to have power in their hands.
You do.
Healing power. Can you explain how that works a little bit?
It's an interconnect between your let's see here. How can I best see? Okay. First of all, you have to align your chakras with the other person. That's difficult, especially if they're not in balance. Then you have to go through each chakra and balance it. But basically, this boils down to an aura. An aura is the energy that covers you totally physically, okay, and appears in colors. If you know how to read the colors, if a person has complained about a certain specific thing, oh, my wuss hurts, or whatever it may be, you can go in and validate whether it really does or not first. And secondly, attend to the problem that is causing the physical ailment or the belief that they have a physical ailment. There's two variations in that. Irrespective, what happens is that a true adept healer will go in and adjust your chakra to make sure that the chakras are right and aligned and ready to go. Then they expand that and look at your overall aura. Then if they get down to little, significant dark spots, red spots, too much green or blue, or, in a specific area. My nose is always cold. Well, that's because you got heavy blue on your chakra, your crown chakra, and your aura is out of adjustment. Well, an individual can see their own aura, and they can adjust it when they actually get into learning how. You have to open your spiritual eyes to be able to see this. Doing that is not exactly the easiest thing in the world for most people. Some people, it's just, second nature. But that's basically it. Okay.
Aren't these like our higher faculties that are kind of suppressed and that people need to learn more about?
Well, remember when you was a little kid, you could take a refrigerator box and turn it into a spaceship. Oh, oh, or whatever. Okay. The innocence it found in
So,
true imagination is the basis of everybody needs to remember when they were a little child. The reason they do is that when you finally connect body, soul, and spirit, then you are once again a little child. That's the first time you've ever taken that step, first time you've ever breathed that air, first time you ever traveled at the speed of light. I didn't know I could fly through the sun. Wow, or whatever it is that you might have in terms of what you want to do. And there is very little limit.
why is it that some people have a very vivid memory of very early in their life and other people can't remember much of anything? Why is that?
Because you're taught and instructed from the get-go to forget a whole bunch of things. You don't want to remember how it felt to potty in your pants. You want to remember how it felt when you dropped your drawers and did it in the toilet. So it's just that simple. You repress the original in light of the better one now. And general education at every level has been causing individuals to repress themselves for years.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it needs to be exercised, right?
Mm-hmm. We'll fix it eventually.
Okay. I wish I could remember how to use like my hands, this person was referring to. Ask Drake how I can tap into this power more effectively to do what I should be doing to help make a difference in this world. Everybody wants to help, but they don't know how.
Okay. First of all, imagination. Secondly, envisionment. And thirdly, activation. Okay. First, your imagination gives you the capability to understand that you can take your hands and I'll put my hands up towards them and they were healed. Oh, praise the Lord. No, praise my hands maybe. Well, you have to understand some things, okay? And at any rate, people heal other people because they believe they can. If you believe that you can manifest power through your hands, you can. It's easy. Okay, just as easy as a little kid believing that there's a monster under the bed. Same sort of deal, only in this case, it's like Monster University. A nice, benevolent, big, I don't know what color it is. I mean, the but the gist of it is that things are evil because we consider them evil and allow them to be or do evil things. If you bring about the power of creation so that they cannot do nasty things to anyone, you bring about a little bit of spark. And that little bit of spark, well, it's like this. How much can you burn up for that? The idea of a candle under a basket in the Bible, took the basket off. Look at all the darkness that fleeth such a small amount of light. Okay, that little spark is that small amount of light, and it causes all of the majority of the nasty things to mitigate. Most people go and want to pet the little puppy or the little birdie, or they don't want to step and crush its head. Okay, these nasty things are learned. Bang bang shoot 'em ups on TV. The idea that you can no longer tell the difference between a bad guy and the hero. This is the idea of graying. In other words, you got black on one side, white on the other. You got one that's nasty and one that's really good. Well, the space in between now is becoming more and more gray, and the ultimate result is to destroy both of these, so that nothing is either good nor bad.
Neutral.
That whatever you believe you've done. Oh, I killed that sucker. Well, you shouldn't have done that. That's bad. Is it? Oh, well, now, won't you ask the 300 kids that he molested? Oops. Now you see the applications that would be actually proactive in terms of their end result. You eliminated a very serious problem, yes. And you have kids that are scarred for life from whatever. Well, they never come back. Mostly, they're scarred permanently. So,
extremely traumatized, no doubt.
Yeah, give me a sharp knife and a pedophile in a dark room, and I will make that boy into the biggest, hands folded, nice guy you ever wanted to meet in your life. Oh,
I can't believe what they do to little children. It breaks my heart sometimes. Yeah. Anyway. I read a piece on terraforming the Earth, transforming the planet we live on with depopulation for new world order. If you don't take a pledge to worship Lucifer per the globalists, then the movie of Arrival would be a good illustration. Is this true?
No. Arrival doesn't have anything to do with that.
I didn't see that movie, so I can't comment.
You have a variety of different things involved in what is going to transpire when we get to the point of actually interacting with ET. Some of that is time travel. Some of it is, they called it a weapon. Well, no, it wasn't. It was the ability to see future events. It could be weapon, but what you have to consider is who is looking at it from what perspective. Then you find out that if you subjugate the power grabbers through your actions, then you have subjugated everything bad to the good. And it's not. There's no complication to any of that. You have to understand that these things are just as real as you and I talking to each other. I can't reach out and touch you. Those are well, but we are living sentient beings who have an interest in providing information so that people can have better. And most people don't. Nobody wants to be screwed with. I have not met anybody yet that likes to have somebody poke, pat, or whatever the deal may be. Okay.
Just leave me alone, kind of thing.
They want to live their lives in peace.
Exactly.
If you got kids, that might be difficult, but you want to live your life in peace and not be screwed with unnecessarily. You want to come home from a hard day's work, have a cold beer. Mommy. Hey, kids, what? Come see Daddy. He's going to explain the facts of life. Sit on the friggin' couch, or I will hurt you. You have to you got to get their attention. They're like a mule. You hit them with a 2x4. If you act like you might just choke one of them, they have to pay attention. That's all you're after. And then parents don't care about justice or right or wrong or any of that. Almost every parent I've ever talked to just want peace and quiet. I rest my case.
Okay. Oh, this is kind of an international, or this is from somebody from Canada, okay? I live 1 hour east of Edmonton International Airport. I have not seen chemtrails for about 4 to 5 months now, but others say they see them, and why are they still being so heavily sprayed over Toronto, and the painted skies look like checkerboards? Field McConnell or Abel Danger, is he helping to take the cabal down or just helping the Anons out?
Anybody that exposes this stuff helps, all right? Exposure in and of itself doesn't do a lot necessarily, unless depending on the subject. Hey, I got a video and this guy is molesting a kid. That ends a political career right now, okay? The ideology of chemtrails was explained by the World Health Organization, which is the sponsor of it all. All right.
Oh, really?
That what they're doing is they're slapping sunscreen on planet Earth. It's global. Now, just because you don't see it does not mean that it isn't there. A lot of the times they get a whole bunch of press, a whole bunch of objectors, a whole bunch of people going, we see chemtrails, you see the picture? Well, they have a new chemtrail that dissolves upon contact with the air. You can't see it. It goes invisible. Okay. Number two, if they're still using the old chemtrail configuration, they do it late at night at high altitude. By the time you see it, it looks like a band of clouds of some sort. Well, it's very simple.
Yeah, it's interesting how different the clouds look.
Yeah.
When I was a child, you know, I can tell the difference. Guess that tells me my age, but okay. Kent Dunn says that being baptized is really a draconian death rite and that we're really selling our soul or energy to them. Is that true? No.
On this particular subject, Kent Dunn's full of shit. And I do mean largesse crapola. You didn't hear the part about not being subject to a contract.
Oh, yeah.
Understand of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, baptism comes from the word baptismos, and it means two things. First, physical washing, so you don't stink. All right. Now the second part, and this is the fun one, is where you take hold of your out of control emotions and tendencies and bring them to bear to a point. You bring them to heel to a point where they know you are no longer a menace to society or somebody that never fits in any portion of society. That's baptismos internally. You change you put off the old mind and put on the new mind. That don't mean you got to love everybody, constantly turn the other cheek and all this other happy stuff that they would like you to do. What it means is that you have a new outlook. Instead of reactive, you're now proactive. Big difference. Now, the proactivity might involve taking a samurai sword and just cutting the living shit out of somebody. It varies, but that would be proactive. Well, you catch somebody molesting kids, and if there's a sharp object around, believe me, that the person doing the molesting is going to feel it. I guarantee you. Either that or I shoot them, or a combination of all of the above. Now, I did something a long time ago. I love the idea of torture chambers in old movies. I studied it. I know how to torture people in ways that they don't even, they're afraid to mention it today. It is so ooey that they, I can take a person and grab hold of their mind and
twist it.
I'm not in it. And then I say, I might enjoy this.
What they do to little children, innocent little children, and torture them in order for this adrenochrome and all that kind of stuff.
But that's it. I didn't torture them. I just screwed their mind up to a point where they thought I would not only do so, but I would have a great time doing it to them. The more they scream, the better I'd like it, all that. Simple. It's not complicated. And I was they had me interrogate people that they couldn't get an answer from. And each and every last one of them talked within just a very few minutes. It didn't take me long at all to convince the guy was going to set his crotch on fire or something nice. Yeah.
Without even having to do anything, right?
Right. And I told the guy that was the assistant, I said, man, you need to go get some hot dogs because I'm going to fire this dude up. We want to roast some hot dogs, put a little flavor in the hot dog from the burning human flesh. By this time, the senior agent was ready to tell you anything you wanted to know and spoke perfect English.
Amazing, isn't it? Okay, here's a interesting one. Can you ask Drake, I have a pea-sized object in the center of my brain and the doctors don't know what it is. Can you tell me what it's there for and why it would be put there?
It's called a pineal gland, and you tell them not to screw with it.
That's what I was
They
wondering
don't
when I
know
read
they don't know what they're doing first. Number two, the pineal gland, after you get the crusty off of it, let's say, and get it back to where it's functioning, the pineal gland is your gateway to everything. Bear that in mind. And when I say everything, I do mean absolutely everything. There's very little limitation. If you handle things correctly, you can, and you study, you can learn how to walk through walls. Now, you want to screw up somebody's party, don't knock on the door, just walk through it. I guarantee you will get a lot of attention. They lock you up in jail, walk out right through the walls. Think about what that would do to the. But I locked you. It didn't work too well, did it? Maybe you need to work on that, huh? You know.
Is that exercising that multidimensional self?
Yeah, you are okay. Your reality is determined by your decision as to what that reality is, to include all of the party favors that go with it. So have fun. I mean, this is more fun than I've ever had in my whole life. Being able to walk up to somebody and say, "You got a problem, don't you?" And they look at you. Do I know you? No, but you got a problem, don't you? Yeah. How'd you know that? I said, it doesn't matter how. It's just that you do. Now, would you kind of turn around and face me a little bit? I guess. Okay, now don't move. Oh, there we go. And then feel a little warm spot wherever it was I, did my thing, and I go, hey, it don't hurt no more. Have a nice day. See ya. Walk away. Oh, you talk about screwing somebody's mind. You get people chasing you down the sidewalk. Hey, man, wait a minute. I got to talk to you. When you learn how to do it for yourself, then you have a extraordinarily different set of problems. And one of those problems is, my goodness, if I can be like this, I wonder if I can make it contagious. Ooh, try to make it contagious. It's fun.
People want to know, like, when it said work on yourself, because we have to save ourselves. They're confused by that, and I was wondering if you might be able to explain it more.
Well, each individual is birthed with the three parts: body, soul, and spirit. Each individual's requirement for being here, the reason you're here. Two most important days in your life: the day you were born and the day you figure out why. Okay, that why is whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing is your individual personal mission. You're to work on yourself to discover what that is, and don't expect anything. You never know which direction it's going to go. Grasshoppers, when they jump, have no idea what direction they're going. They just go. Okay. The wind blows. Who tells a bee how to get back home? How is it that a migrating bird, the size of a hummingbird, the hummingbirds may be 2 inches long, goes down to the south coast, tanks up, and flies clear across the friggin' Gulf of Mexico? That little bitty thing? Well, how about monarch butterflies? They go all the way to South America. There's the awe that I feel for the Creator is the detail and unbelievable things I've found in the creation in which we live. It's awesome. It's totally amazing.
It is.
So basically, you determine it. You decide. Your decision has to be energized as much as you can figure it. I don't recommend writing things on your forehead. That kind of screws with people you work with, but you can write it on the mirror. First thing you see in the morning, last thing you see at night. Put it on the toilet lid. Oh, shout, or whatever it may be. And as long as you have it continually present, it will become a part of you. You have two levels. One is conscious. The other is subconscious. Your subconscious mind is the key. It makes sure that your conscious goes in the direction necessary to realize whatever you have instructed it to find. If that's your mission, ooh, great joy in life, significant other, it doesn't matter. Prosperity, anything you can think of. That's exactly reality training. Okay.
So the subconscious mind could technically be programmed with negative things that weren't very helpful to you.
Yeah, if you let it be. It depends on how you feel about things. Do you really want to hurt people? Most people don't. Not, and I mean that literally. Most people don't. Sometimes they don't have a choice. When you come out of the projects and you can fight, you hurt people. Well, but you get out of the projects. I mean, how much good
And
can
it
you?
changes.
Yeah, well, how much good can you do from that perspective rather than just being another occupant of a numbered hole in the wall in the projects? I mean, there are way too many people who do not understand that they do have the capabilities of anyone who says they are their master. You recognize right away that they're full of BS unless they're teaching you how. Now, if they're teaching you how, they may be, and I'm not saying they are, but they may be a true master. And it may be only one subject. It could be a bunch of subjects. So you have to understand it as well about yourself. You've been programmed. Everybody has. You see a commercial that says you got to have this kind of a car, live this kind of a house, wear these kind of clothes, and be like this. Really? I don't think so. I chose to live in the woods, wear my funky T-shirts, and all that. The neat part about being up here is a combination of both critters and people. I met people that have the same moral values that I grew up with back in the 50s. Oh, what a refreshing thing that was.
I bet.
It's not like you're trying to get even with the whole world and everybody in it. It's not that you're trying to take anything from anybody. It's a thing where I'll be all right. Okay, well, I might offer a hand up, and I make sure that they understand it ain't charity. If I help somebody, it ain't charity. It's a hand up. And, if you're capable of paying me back later, fine. If not, don't worry about it. Take that and spread that to somebody else who has a need that and eventually all the problems disappear. Then what are we going to do? Oh, we wear white sheets and strum
I float around on clouds, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot, and all of these things are written about definitively if you know how to get the full texts, and I mean all of the texts that deal with the biblical grouping. Okay, the biblical grouping includes Buddhism, and you can add Zen in there. You can say mind over matter. You can say hippie freak, or it doesn't matter. What matters is that you look internally to find what it is that you need to adjust, and continually keep that in your thought. And it adjusts. Oh, I need to buy. Okay, I need to go sit on the couch and meditate and find another one. Pretty soon, you're done with it.
I think one of the beauties of being able to be in a naturistic place is it helps bring balance and perspective to your life that you don't get in a big city.
I don't recommend living in a city.
I don't either. That's where I am right now, and I definitely don't recommend it. Okay. It's only temporary. I can't wait till I can leave. Okay, I got another question for you, and this one relates to Morgellons. It says, Drake mentioned Morgellon can be cured with Vicks Vapor Rub. Most exciting, as my son is severely affected and at times very discouraged. Doctors dismiss him as a nut or worse. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Please,
go ahead.
Please explain the application of Vicks internally, externally, frequency, or whatever you can offer.
Okay. There's a great big flower, better known as a weed, grows into a friggin' tree you would not believe, and its name is eucalyptus. Eucalyptus has about 500 different medicinal properties. Take my word on it. You can look it up if you want. Take you a while though. Vicks Vapor Rub is not the original. The original Vapor Rub was plant-oriented. Petrolatum. Instead of petrolatum, it's
Oh yeah, petroleum. That's what petroleum jelly.
yeah, yeah. No, well, that's the basis for Vicks Vapor Rub. If you decide to make your own, some people do.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get the plant. You want to get the plantallatum. Plantallatum acts just exactly the same way as petrolatum, only it is not. It's organic and it is not petroleum based. Number two,
That's good.
ingredients. Eucalyptus is one of the ingredients, and there's two others, total of three, that go into this stuff. Look it up. I'm not going to do all your homework for you. Anyway, what happens is this. In the application of Vicks, what it does to the Morgellons is it causes the Morgellons to short out and reseed from its host. Come right out of your skin. You can grab all them little hairs and pull them out and drop. When you drop them into get a glass ashtray or dish or something and drop them from about 3 or 4 inches up, 4 or 5 inches up, and they'll go clank. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's just a general application, and that's only one. There are electronics involved where you use a very light duty electrolysis. You can use Faraday cages to cut off its energy supply. You can imbibe things like activated charcoal that will totally clear your system of the capability of these things to orient your nervous system the way they want it so that they're feeding off your battery. Okay, you don't want that stuff. So, there's a variety of things that can be done. Now, there is a control panel involved in a true Faraday cage. The control panel only does three or four things from what you can see. First of all, it makes sure that it is always absolutely neutral. Number two, any extreme waves of energy that come through, it grounds them out. Okay, and this is the key part here. Number three, it allows you to have total open spiritual access without having to worry about things glomming onto you. Four,
Nice.
other physical anomalies, bad joints, or whatever, have a tendency to dissipate when you take action against the Morgellons, because mostly the Morgellons are the perpetrators of things like cancer and bone spurs and your wuss hurting and whatever. Okay.
Yeah, lovely.
Anyway, the only way to really prove it, or whether or not I'm in a nutcase, find a spot that you got Morgellons. You know you got it. You'll have a rash on you. Okay. Apply it to the rash, and don't scratch the rash. Don't screw with the. Just put some Vicks Vapor Rub on it, whether it's on your tush or your bottom of your feet or what. Just put a little, and you'll be amazed. You start finding results. Then I'm not such a nutcase.
Well, didn't you say one time something about apple cider vinegar too being beneficial? Is that for nanotech or?
Yeah, that's what you're dealing with Morgellons. Morgellons is nanotech.
Oh.
It's an interdimensional virus that was introduced by the evil ETs some 26,000 years ago, give or take. We had a major planetary kaboobie, upset, catastrophe, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Everybody was wiped out. Now, this is not the Great Flood. This is something even worse. Think about the things that you normally would touch, like my coffee cup, as an example. Touch that mother and it shocked you like an electric eel. Think about that sort of. This is the kind of, when I say upset, I mean and catastrophic. I mean it just got everything. Think about toilet paper Now, everybody uses toilet paper. Think about if it was dipped in hot sauce before you used it.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Okay, now when I say catastrophic, I mean things that are there, but people don't think about that need to be covered so that they understand what's going on. Okay, so about 26,500 years ago, they dropped an information bomb that was of the intergalactic type that infuses itself into everything: water, plants, rocks, us, etc. There were great, how can I, plagues. Each one of them all the same. As soon as it would finish killing a bunch of people, poof, it's gone. You know what? Maybe, hey, what the, it's crawling up my leg. Oh my, no, 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 no. You may not get in my underwear by any means, that sort of thing goes. And and we had several hundred of these individual plague types of things. Okay, if you think the biblical plagues or something, you ought to see these. Where body parts fall off that shouldn't, and other things of that nature, where you get ate up, where you get this thing that gets birthed inside of you. And I'm not talking about the movie Aliens. I'm talking about something worse. And we still have some of these. They have people today who are taken to hospitals. They don't know what's wrong with them, and they start removing worms. And they can be microscopic. I think the smallest one was like 5 microns in length and maybe a half a micron in diameter. But it was eating a guy's liver, as an example. I mean, we don't need this stuff. So, and these are rare cases only found in certain areas. Now, I'll give you an example. Everybody has heard of flesh-eating bacteria.
Yes.
Now you know the origins. Okay. These things were put here for a combination of reasons. They do have a master key. And what they were intending to do was take that master key, put it in a lock, turn them on, all of them, all at the same time, so everybody could have a good dose of whatever it was that was in close proximity. Well, guess what? Me and a group of friends of mine decided to visit a certain place, and you can check. It was in the Alps, and a mountain, and I'm not talking about a little one, a whole mountain vaporized. We took the key away from the turkey, and he lost it and blew himself up. With the key is on deposit in the it's a combination of both secret and absolutely secure depository, and it's on a specific ship upstairs. Nobody can get that key. Nobody can turn that on. The process now is ET is going about turning them off. So expect Morgellons to go by the wayside in about another 30 days, give or take. Expect some of the diseases such as cancer, things of that nature, the nasties, okay?
Yeah, some of them are really bad.
Well, did you notice all of a sudden there wasn't any more leprosy?
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
You know what was funny? Do you remember back in the day there was a big scandal about thalidomide babies?
Yeah.
They come out all grunched up. Okay, thalidomide is not supposed to be taken internally, period. It's designed to be an external application. Guess what? They found, and this was an accident, okay, at one of the care stations, a person with leprosy, real bad. I mean, they were going to lose body parts kind of level. They accidentally bumped into a table and spilled thalidomide on her hand. And they said, "Oh, that feels nice and warm." And they looked at their hand, and you've seen movies where somebody gets all crustied up. They looked at their hand, and the crust is just falling off of it. That was the leprosy going. And the doctor said, Well, if it'll do that for your hand, let's try your arm. End up giving the person a bath in thalidomide. And guess what? They don't have any of that anymore. They don't have leprosy. It don't exist anymore. Now they can give you topical, what they call topical shocks, like in your, so fun, huh?
Yeah, really. Wow. Well, I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to get into this. Oh, here's another question. One more before we
Okay.
get into that. When we are all telepathic, will we no longer have our own private thoughts?
No. You have, in order for somebody to get in your head, you have to let them in. So if you don't open the door, they don't get in. Pretty simple. It's not complicated. You'll be able to read somebody in terms of their intent and purpose and attitude towards you.
Uh-huh.
But beyond that, no, you're not going to know intimate details of a one night stand a few weeks ago or any of that. That ain't fair. So.
Okay. Yeah, people are wondering, well, gee, I can't think about anything anymore, can I?
Well, not, yeah, you can. I mean, you don't worry about it. Okay.
Okay. What about with the different energies that are going on in the planet right now, and the energies that are coming from the galactics? Will some of the negativity that we're seeing be dissolved?
It'll subside as people become more aware of their capability to determine their condition. In other words, you make a decision according to what you want your reality to be, and it starts happening, and you're going, "That's pretty cool. I got to keep, man. I want to crank that one up and let's see how far it goes." Well, that'll keep somebody from being nasty to other people. They're too busy cranking up their whatevers.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's one. The other aspect is that when people start getting what they truly need, and there's a big difference between need, greed, and desire.
Yeah.
When they get what they truly need, uh, there isn't any reason to try to take that from someone else. So the ideology of the big fish eating the little fish, well, that's going to go on forever. But uh, you don't have to be Bigfoot to rule the neighborhood. It's real simple.
Well, too, I think if more people's basic needs are met, I don't think there'd be as much crime anyway, because some of
Yeah.
the difficulty that happens is a result of requiring to have so much money in order
Yeah.
to have things that really should be available anyway, like sufficient space. That's one of the things that you have. And I'm not being a socialist either, so don't go there.
Yeah.
But, having sufficient space, like I think we talked about this in one of the previous shows, and it's like when you're talking about being in nature or being, instead of being, if you have a bunch of people very in close proximity,
Squeeze them up in the sardine cans.
yeah, it really has a negative effect on people. It's not.
Okay, there's another part to that, and that is a lot of the people in the city never get their bare feet, into the grass.
Grass.
They do not
Yes. Ground.
connect. They do not reconnect with the planet that they're on, with Gaia, with a spiritual being that is totally awesome and a lot. Oh, and she's got a sense of humor. Ooh. So I thoroughly enjoy her, and I give her all the respect. Now that word respect is going to really play into this, because when somebody starts getting what they need, then people are going to respect that and go, "What? How do you do that?" And you're going to say, "Well, it has to do with respect," and it could be me talking to anybody. It could be anybody talking to us another, but they notice. Now, it's not possible to manufacture money. Want to bet? Well, remember in the book it says that they will give to you uh, multitudes of blessings, of all kinds of things, money, whatever. Okay, that's true. All you got to do is light that little candle and see how much darkness fleeth the light, and then you crank that mother up, turn it into a big old blowtorch, and light up the world. Well, it is the way you do it, but what you do is, by example, you do it for yourself first. And you're going to have all kind of people going, how do you do that? Well, you start teaching them how. What you're doing is you're making it contagious, like free beer or, pass the joint around, man. Okay, here. Oh, I got a bunch of joints, everybody can like it. The ideology of knowing that you're not going to get screwed with, okay, finding out that the mixing of culture between differing races is extraordinarily interesting, because you're always, each of you are always asking the other one about this, that, or the other thing. Like, what's the word for toilet in Japanese? Come on, now here's a picture. That's where I need to. Oh, it down here, well, that's cool, but I want the word. I want to know what that, it's a cool outhouse.
Yeah, different cultures are fascinating. That's why I'm look forward to ET, Galactics, and knowing more about that sort of thing, because it's just, I just find it fascinating. I always have.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're close to the end of our questions for this session.
Well, that's only about an hour and a half, as we started about 8:20, and it's 9:56. This is my time now.
Okay.
Hour and a half is a pretty good show.
Yeah. Did you have anything to add before we wrap it up?
Expect the unexpected. Look for signs, miracles, and wonders to follow along with that. The stage has been set and the activities are about to begin. And everything I said that I had talked about, from the David Wilcock interview to now, okay, I've been prepping, asking people how come they're not helping set the stage. How come you're not doing this, man? All you got to do, it wouldn't take much. And really, yeah, try it. Okay. Oh, hey, man, that worked pretty good. This sort of thing is what I've been doing with just about as high level as you get. I'm talking about chancellors, rulers, even the Ayatollah knows me from some of the things I have tried to accomplish. Well, America doesn't want to be in a friggin' continual forever war.
Please. Really?
I contacted Al Jazeera, but I made a challenge. Now, they haven't kept it, but I hope they will. The challenge was directly to the warlords that control small specific areas. I said, hey, we don't want to be there. Can you help us leave by taking over what we're doing and taking care of business? If you can. We had a troop drawdown of 50,000, and it only took 3 weeks. I thought that was pretty good. I stopped nuclear war on several different occasions. People don't need to be incinerated. That's ridiculous. So, and you don't need all the destruction. But when you do that sort of thing, even with the better weapons we have today, you cause the whole area, everything in it, to be radioactive for years. Chernobyl is a good example. It's just now becoming, it's just now come to the level where it's not dangerous for somebody to walk around in there. It's just now, and it happened, forever ago. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things we have to learn. Number one, and this is a galactic as well as universal law: no nuclear. Period. Yes. That includes energy, weapons, or anything. You may not play with that. You have to find another way. ET found out how to cause a chamber to continually produce something that doesn't last very long. It only lasts a few microseconds, but the burst of energy it gives when it goes into Gaga land or dissipates or whatever is huge. If you put one of these, and I'll say cargo ship-sized devices in place in the center of the United States, you could hook up the whole electric grid to it and not strain anything in terms of the device itself at all. And it is just one ship. There are 25 million ships overhead.
25 million?
Yeah. Well, you saw that picture I sent you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, that ship is huge. That is a uh, full. That's a full-sized, um, battle-capable mothership. That's what that was.
Wow. It's like, even though we want to get away from any kind of conflict, there's always a malevolent something somewhere that needs to be taken care of, unfortunately. It
No
seems.
problem. I like that stuff. That's fun.
Well, it's good we have people that know how to deal with that.
Yeah, well, you'll get there eventually and be able to fly around with us.
Awesome. Alrighty then. I guess that's our show for tonight or today. And I'd like to thank you very much, Drake, for spending this time.
You're
And
very welcome.
thank the audience. And we can call it a show.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.